talk?
No, I'll be fine. I'll be just bien.
Sorry.
It's your table de garance. It's French. It's feminine. It'll help you grab one of those rotten, stinking men. Table de garance.
Hey, leave. Yeah, you were fine this morning. Something happened at lunch.
My frog turned on me.
Yeah, I had some bad tuna myself.
I'm gonna fight for him, though. I mean, do you think I'm pretty?
Of course you are. You're more than pretty.
Gorgeous?
Don't push it, Pig.
Miss Piggy enlisting the help of comedian Joan Rivers in her ongoing romantic quest for Kermit the Frog. In The Muppets Take Manhattan, the third Muppet film, and one of 4 new movies we'll be reviewing this week on At the Movies, the movie review program. Across the aisle for me, Roger Ebert, film critic of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And this is Gene Siskel, film critic for the Chicago Tribune. Now, in addition to the latest adventures of the Muppets, we'll also be reviewing Tom Hanks, the star of Splash, in the new comedy Bachelor Party, and the new movie from Texas named Last Night at the Alamo. Then on our special X-ray segment that we've added to the show, we're going to take a long look at Burt Reynolds' career, and especially some of the latest developments in his career. And in connection with that, Gene is going to start with a review of Burt Reynolds' new movie called Cannonball Run 2.
Wow. Cannonball Run 2 is every bit the disaster that I thought it was going to be. This film is absolutely the pit. It is a complete mess, a cattle call of tired old stars doing the most embarrassing old vaudeville routines, the kind of joke that would be rejected even on one of those old Dean Martin TV roasts. The excuse for the story here is a cross-country road race, but most of what goes on in the picture is just a bunch of familiar old faces sitting around and telling jokes. For example, Burt Reynolds and his buddy Dom DeLuise trade lines with Shirley MacLaine and Mary Lou Henner, who play actresses dressed up as nuns.
Would you mind if we sat?
You with us?
Oh,
you want to join us?
Oh, no, don't get
sure.
up. Boy none.
Boy none. JJ, they're going to join us.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Sister Veronica. And I'm Sister Betty. How do you do?
I'm JJ McClure, and
You do?
this is Victor Princey. We're partners.
Are you boys married?
No, just partners.
Partners. Well, sweet.
Sister Betty?
That's correct, but we're not partners. We're sisters. I'm not real sisters. We're just in the same order together. So, what do you gentlemen do for a living?
We race across the country for money.
Oh, and we're going to have a race today to the East Coast.
Are you racing to Broadway?
Connecticut. What order did you say you were from?
Oh, actually, it's just a bunch of girls.
Bunch of girls?
We're affiliated together in the Order of Immaculate Chastity. Oh, the Order of Immaculate Chastity.
The timing in that scene is just awful, and so are the jokes. In addition to jokes, Cannonball Run 2 also has plenty of stunt sequences, including this fight with Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise taking on a carload of Hollywood stereotypes.
Hey, you look like an athlete.
Well, thank you.
I was an athlete. Oh, yeah? Yeah, I was all. Well, then you can probably handle yourself.
Oh, don't do that to me again. This is just beautiful. That's European, isn't it? But of course. Absolutely stunning.
Those kinds of stunts do nothing for me. This whole movie did nothing for me except get me angry. This isn't a movie, really. It's Hollywood stars in sort of a home movie. They don't even try here. There's no story. The race, this is fabulous. The race is barely run at all. And that's probably because they didn't want to spend any money growing cross-country with a film crew or, get the stars out of their homes for more than one day. So the race is run at the end of this picture, unbelievably, in a cartoon sequence. Cannonball Run 2 is a total ripoff, a deceptive film that gives movies a bad name.
I agree with you. I think it's one of the most cynical, lackluster, unfunny, deceptive films in terms of the fact that you think that maybe somebody spent a little time writing a script, putting together a plot, working for 2 hours to make a movie that would at least, at the very bottom level, give you something to look at for 2 hours. This movie is as close to zero as you can get. And an example is Frank Sinatra's little role. Now, I know that you probably noticed this, too. Sinatra's entire scene in this movie was shot with the camera straight on Sinatra, and he must have been the only actor for miles around. Then they intercut that with Burt Reynolds talking to him, other actors talking to him. He couldn't even be bothered to work for a day in the same room with the actors who were in the same scene with him. And I think he's the only actor in this movie who was smart.
I agree. I think he knew exactly what he was doing. Stay away from this picture. He did it. Hey, if one of the stars did it, you do it too.
Sinatra phoned it in, and I'd like to hang up on it. Next at the movies, The Muppets Take Manhattan.
Hey, look, Waldorf. It's the frog and the pig. Yeah, looks like they're in love. Yeah. Kind of makes you sick, doesn't it?
This movie stars the Muppets in sort of a Muppet remake of those old Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland movies, where the gang gets together to put on a show and take it to Broadway. The name of the movie is The Muppets Take Manhattan, and it's a sweet and funny comedy about Kermit the Frog's lifelong dream. He and Miss Piggy and all the rest of the Muppet gang have all graduated from college now, and Kermit has this faith that they can take their senior class musical and open it on Broadway. And in this scene, Kermit and his friends visit a Broadway producer.
Mr. Price, I'm Kermit, and these are my friends, and we've got a show called Manhattan Melodies that we think you're going to want to produce on Broadway. Yeah. It's all about a couple of kids that come to New York City to get married, and it opens with a great number. It goes like this.
Look at me, here I am.
Hey, no singing, okay? Just give me the general idea.
Well, it's all about life in the big city.
Yeah. Big city, huh? But cops, shootings, car chases, that kind of thing?
Well, no shooting stuff. It's more like songs and dances.
Songs and dances? That might be interesting. Nobody cares about shootings anyway. What are you thinking about, big name stars?
Well, actually, we're going to be the stars.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Huh?
You be the stars. Unknowns, songs, dances, shootings. No shootings. You know what?
Huh?
I smell something.
Why does everyone always blame dogs?
No, what I smell is a hit.
For what?
A hit.
You mean?
Absolutely. I'd be proud to produce your show. Fellas, you're going to be on Broadway.
That's Dabney Coleman as the producer. Later in the movie, Kermit continues his romance with the charming and delightful Miss Piggy. This is one of my favorite scenes of the movie, a flashback to those golden days when Miss Piggy was a cute little piglet. Aren't they cute, all those little baby Muppets? And when they're on their back singing together there, Gene, you could belong to a group like that. You'd fit right in. Make it a quartet. The Muppets Take Manhattan is a lot of fun. It's as good as the original Muppet movie, and it's better than The Great Muppet Caper, which was the second movie. Part of the secret is that the Muppets are allowed to be the stars again this time. Instead of playing straight man, to a lot of human guest stars. Sure, there are visiting celebrities in this movie, everyone from Brooke Shields to Liza Minnelli to Joan Rivers, who we saw earlier, but the movie belongs to Kermit and Miss Piggy, and don't you forget it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
I think so. It's a lot of fun, and I think that's it. They focus on these two characters. That's the relationship that makes this whole series go, and they just write an interesting little script for these people, a much better script than they wrote for Cannonball Run 2. Here's the other thing, and I think, with all the talk about the ratings going on, this is one of those rarities, a G-rated film. There won't be many this year. And it's very well done. I'm not rewarding it because it's G. I'm just pointing out that if you're looking for this innocent little film that you can take kids to for the first time in their lives, this is it, and a good example of it.
Of course, then you get into the curse of death because adults think it's G-rated, or even teenagers think it's G-rated. It won't be any fun. This movie is really entertaining. Absolutely. Has a lot of energy. And what I liked was that in the second movie, it seemed like the stars were the humans, and the Muppets were just, oh, look, here's the big guest star talking to Kermit. This time it's Kermit you know,
Yeah.
or Miss Piggy, you know, condescends to acknowledge Joan Rivers,
Okay.
which I think is the way it should be.
Or to put another way around, if you took all the humans out of this picture, it would still be very entertaining. Coming up next at the movies, a film called Bachelor Party that tries to do for stag parties what Animal House did for food fights.
Yeah, let's have a bachelor party with chicks and guns and fire trucks and hookers and all the things that make life worth living for.
Our next film is Bachelor Party, another infantile summertime comedy about a bachelor party that is sort of the Animal House of bachelor parties, with lots of jokes involving hookers upsetting prim and proper guests. In this story, a wild and crazy guy falls in love with a high society girl, and he's always ridiculing her ritzy parents.
We don't have a dog.
Oh, that's too bad. That's a waste of some good fat.
Oh, are you going to eat your potato there, darling?
You want this?
You betcha. Yeah, me and Debbie are going to have kids right away, I think. I'd like to adopt this 17-year-old Korean girl I had my eye on for a while. I figure why beat around a bush, you know. But, I mean, this pup is fertile, and I know I'm perfectly capable, so you don't have to worry. You'll have some American grandkids in no time at all. No, thank you. I tell you, Mrs. T, this is really some spread. This is some pretty good chow. Usually, I just have like a jam sandwich for lunch. You know what a jam sandwich is? Take 2 pieces of bread, jam them together. Hello, everybody. Am I late?
Not at all. We're just finishing lunch. How are you, Cole?
Fine, just fine.
Eileen. Cole.
You're looking very well.
Mrs. Thompson.
Cole.
Always a pleasure.
Oh.
Debbie?
And, Bond. James Bond.
We like that line. We did that line, actually, on our special James Bond show a couple weeks ago. That was Tom Hanks, who is sort of a poor man's Bill Murray by way of Michael Keaton. You might remember him from the movie Splash. He's the guy who was in love with the mermaid. And in Bachelor Party, Tom Hanks regularly takes center stage and seemingly ad-libs a few jokes. Hanks is okay in small doses, but Bachelor Party features some big doses of its many hookers interrupting his bachelor party, and the film loses control of itself, I think, in those scenes. I didn't like Bachelor Party.
Well, first of all, of course it wants to lose control of itself because the entire thing is one of these mad, mad, mad world kinds of things with people falling out of hotel windows and locking themselves in the bathroom and so forth. But I will give this movie a thumbs up for the following reason. This is, you know, consumer advice, right? Every summer there has to be at least one raunchy food fight movie.
Yeah.
And Bachelor Party is this summer's best example of that
Let me just
genre.
ask you this, honestly.
Okay.
Were you at all, I know you better than this.
Okay.
Were you at all, I know the answer, I'll answer it for
You don't
were
know the
at all
answer. Yes, I did laugh. Yes.
At the
I
Bachelor
laughed.
Party?
Yeah,
At
there
the
were a lot
end?
of funny things in it. It wasn't just running around and making fools of themselves. There were a couple of gags that worked. I laughed out loud several times during this movie, and you cannot fake laughter. If it's not funny, you don't laugh. If it is funny, you do laugh. I laughed.
I'm disappointed.
I'm not disappointed.
In you.
In me?
And the film.
Well, I mean, somebody on the show has to have a sense of humor. Our next movie is named Last Night at the Alamo, and it's a cowboy movie, but it's not a Western. It's about modern-day urban cowboys in Texas who hang out at a bar named the Alamo. It's a seedy little bar that's filled with losers, but the regulars like to call it home. And when the decision is made to tear it down and replace it with condos, the regulars get together for one last night during which they're all going to reveal more about themselves than they really want anyone else to know. The unofficial leader of the gang in the bar is a guy named Cowboy who talks about all the offers he's had from Hollywood, and he makes grandiose plans before he gets too drunk to remember them. Here he is playing king of the bar and trying to make a pickup.
Get this girl another beer. Skipper, get her another beer.
Wait as long as a phone call for you, buddy. A woman on the line.
Excuse me.
Not fair.
Fair? Who said anything about fair?
Me. I did.
Darling, with you, everything is fair.
I'm not so sure about you.
I told you so.
Ginger, would you just drop it?
What's there to know? Handsome, charming, everything you could ever want.
Oh, Aunt Mary, looky over there. Cowboy, he's making the move on that old girl.
Ooh, shoot, her? What does she want with Cowboy?
What do you think she wants with old Cowboy?
Well, now, Cowboy don't stand a chance with her. Just some dumb redneck to her.
Cowboy ain't no dumb redneck, darling.
Oh, he is to her.
Well, how'd you know?
Well, I just do. I can tell by looking.
You can't tell nothing by looking, darling.
Well, now, what do you think is going to happen when it takes the pad off, huh?
A horse? No, I don't have a horse. What would I want with a horse? You have a horse?
It's not often these days that you see a feature film shot in black and white, but I think it's right for this movie because it gets sort of the gritty feeling of that loser's bar. Last Night at the Alamo was directed by Eagle Pinnell, a Texas filmmaker whose last movie, The Whole Shooting Match, which I also liked a lot, was also about a couple of hard-drinking good old boys who were trying to fool themselves into thinking that they amounted to something in the world. I think that Last Night at the Alamo is a really good movie, too, a discovery, sort of a Texas version of Eugene O'Neill's Long Day's Journey into Night, with a lot of laughter at the beginning and a lot of fears and weaknesses and insecurities at the end. Last Night at the Alamo is just now going into release around the country, big cities first, and it's a sleeper that I hope the rest of the country gets a chance to see, one of the best low-budget American movies in quite a while.
I disagree with you. I didn't do much for me, and to compare it with Eugene O'Neill, I think, is ridiculous praise. But just dealing with the film itself, I found these characters quite unappealing, uninteresting. I can understand if you're seeing people who are misguided or something and they can break your heart, which they obviously did for you. Didn't do it for me. I think it's a combination of bad acting by the people playing and bad writing, overwriting, making them seem more country than they really are. Particularly that teenager we saw there talking about, whether or not the guy is a good old boy or not.
Well, that's an interesting call, because what you're saying is you don't like this movie because it doesn't correspond to some idea you have about how people ought to behave in a Texas bar.
Oh, not at all.
No, actually, you're saying they're bad actors because they don't convince you that they're real?
And bad writing.
I don't think so. First of all, it seemed to me that every moment in this bar captured the reality of the way people behave in bars, because people in bars frequently, especially regulars in a bar like this, it's very important to them what roles they play and what personalities they take on and who they like to appear to be in order to cover up the fears and things that they have inside. So that if you really look at this movie attentively, I think it has more to say and more to see about bar behavior than most any other movie I can think of.
Actually, I think a documentary on bar behavior, let's say by Frederick Wiseman, where they just put a camera in a bar, would be far more revealing than this.
We could make Frederick Wiseman could direct a documentary, we get Robert Duvall to star in it and have another movie. This movie is a good, low-budget Texas movie that's trying to do something, and it does it well.
I think that pictures like Urban Cowboy or the Duvall film Tender Mercies cover the same territory with better writing and better acting. Coming up next at the movies, a look at the career of Burt Reynolds.
Did we beat that?
You don't beat it. You don't beat the script.
Our X-ray subject this week, Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds can be one of the most appealing actors on film, but like most every actor, even he needs the semblance of a character to play. The problem with many of his recent movies has been he isn't even bothering to play a character. This always hasn't been the case with Burt Reynolds. He has given good performances in serious films, and the earliest example of that was his role as a macho guy who meets his match on a Georgia river in Deliverance in 1972. Later, he played a fascinating detective in Hustle, caught up in a love affair with Catherine Deneuve. That's Burt Reynolds being an actor. He can do it. And that's the good Burt Reynolds. But then he has his other side, sort of like a little devil, like over Donald Duck's shoulder, the bad Burt Reynolds. Well, we have seen the bad Burt Reynolds in 1983's Stroker Ace with Lonnie Anderson, a film that was an utter waste of time for everyone because no one saw it.
Well, then, we'll be sharing a room, right?
Oh, no, we couldn't do that.
Why not?
Because we're not married.
What a little kidder. What's that got to do with it?
That was a staggeringly bad film, and he's made another staggeringly bad film, Cannonball Run 2, a film so lacking in desire to be good that, as we've said, the big race in the picture takes place off camera. I still can't believe that. We've all seen or read Burt Reynolds say in interviews that he feels ignored by the Oscars, that he would like to be taken more seriously as an actor, but the only way that's going to happen, I think, is if he gives up driving cars for a living on screen. Never get into a car again. Just wave them by. You don't get in. He should be playing fresh comedies or dramas in which he is required to play a genuine character.
I think you're right, and I'll tell you something else you ought to do, and that's to occasionally cooperate with a good director who gives him an objective opinion.
Yeah.
His good movies, like Deliverance and Hustle and Starting Over and Sharky's Machine, have been made with good directors. But who does he work with most often? Hal Needham, the man who made Cannonball Run and Cannonball Run 2 and Stroker Ace and 3 other pictures, his personal friend.
Yes.
But he's not being a friend if he applauds everything he sees through the camera. Everything goes.
Reynolds has to be used by a director and demanded more from a director, and Needham doesn't do it.
Absolutely right. Now let's take another look at our reactions to the movies on this program. We both hated, as we've already said, of course, Cannonball Run 2. It should have been called Cannonball Run From, the cheap, poorly made road race sequel with Burt Reynolds. Gene and I both like the latest Muppets movie, though, The Muppets Take Manhattan. It's a pleasant, well-made movie for the whole family. We split on Bachelor Party. I enjoyed the raunchy humor. Gene found it repetitive and boring and occasionally tasteless, only occasionally, and we...
Yeah, mostly.
Okay, split on the independent film Last Night at the Alamo. I found it touching. Gene thought it was more often trite.
That's it for this week. Next week, the doctors will be in. We're going to get carried away with all this advice we've been giving in our special X-ray segment. We're going to be making house calls on ailing careers of some of our favorite performers in the movies. On a special edition of At the Movies, we're going to be examining the careers ups and downs of 3 movie talents, Mel Brooks, John Travolta, and Al Pacino. We're going to presume to give them career advice. That's next week, and until then,